Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
So let's go there right now. Let's go into the core of our being, where we have an eternal fountain of peace. Inside of every human is eternalness of your soul. And it is always in a state of peace. How does that feel for you, to be peaceful? When I ask, imagine yourself in the most peaceful, relaxed environment. Where is that for you? That is an image or a feeling you can always call to yourself in moments that you need it the most. Perhaps your peace is floating on the ocean or in the river, somewhere floating in water. Perhaps your peace is in a forest with trees and birds. Perhaps your peace is on a mountain. Or perhaps your peace is with your loved ones. Wherever that place is for you, it is eternal. And in this eternal space, we welcome the beautiful, loving messages from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Again, I will say to you, there is complete and total awareness of Spirit on the other side of the veil, creative source, God, whatever you say, complete awareness of this moment. That you are here listening, hoping perhaps for an energetic message that would be directed for you. Indeed, it can be and it will be if you understand it's a personal message. It always is. It doesn't lay there for the masses. It's personal. You have come to this place on purpose to listen. And that is the point. That is a reaching out of you, if you thought of it or not, an intent, if you thought about it or not, to hear something, to feel something, to learn something. The messages that I am giving this month, 4 of them. This is number 2. I call them the catalysts for healing. Now, when you look at the word catalyst, you could define it. And you could define it scientifically if you wish to, chemically if you wish to. I'd say it's an energy which helps change something else. It's a concept which helps understand and change something else. That's how we're using it. So these catalytic energies to healing are things that we are saying, if you have this, it will help with the healing. That is something perhaps very unique for you. Whether it's to be healed of a disease, whether it's to be healed of an attitude, or a concept, or fear, that's a healing. And this is why this second one is so important. Let's review. The first one was be aware of how strong your words are. And some of you will say, what does that have to do with healing? And we fully explained it. Because your words can actually change the chemistry of your body, and that starts chemistry, healing, and changing, and longer life, and so many things. Now we get into something that's just a little different, because it has to do with attitude. But the attitude we're going to speak of is very, very important and has been lost by so many. Here it is. Number 2. Find your inner child. Now, there are those who say, uh-oh, inner child talk again. You know, Kryon, I've never understood why that's important, why I should. In fact, there are scripture verses that I read that say, when I was young, I thought as a child, and now that I'm adult, I don't have to anymore. Indeed, that scripture verse, by the way, means something completely different than what I'm telling you now. I'm telling you to rekindle and capture back something all of you, or most of you, had. I talked to those in many cultures, but the majority of you had beautiful childhoods. Now, there may have been issues with your parents or later on, but when you're really young, it's different from any other time in your life. Indeed, there are some of you who said, well, I've had a really, really ugly childhood and this and that, but you had friends who didn't you? So let's pretend with me for a moment what it was like for them or what you saw. Most of you did, and here's what I'm getting at. You had a time when there were no worries at all. There just weren't. When you could play. Even if your parents were difficult, you can get outside of that bubble and play with your friends, and you didn't have the stress you have today. The stress that may be caused from what's going to happen next. What am I going to do about my job? What am I going to do in these times when there is lockdowns and all these? What's going to be next? What's going to affect me now? The fear that some of you have just from life itself. The worry. What's going to happen now? What's going to happen with this or that? Whether you're talking about the society or the government or the planet or darkness or light, you worry. But you didn't as a kid. You really didn't. In fact, one of the biggest worries you had is, how long can I play? Can some of you remember this? There is a sensation there, innocence, joy. You don't know the things that are coming because they're not anything. You may see them on the face of your parents back then, but you didn't experience them. This was a time of joy and laughter and innocence when you didn't worry. Now, why am I saying to you, rekindle the inner child? If you can go back to that state willingly and capture what you already have experienced and bring it to the forefront, it becomes a catalyst for that which is peaceful, that which will give you the lack of worry, dropping the fear, because you can remember being in that state. Still, there are those who say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to act as a child. I don't want to be seen stupid. And you're taking this way too literally, dear ones. We didn't ask you to behave as a child. We asked you to think of what it was like to be in a state of innocence in these first few years, till you're about 6 or 7 or even 8, when you were simply discovering the fun things and the beautiful things, and you can play with your friends and you could have little fantasies, and none of the things of earth touched you, not the way they do today. If you can go there and recapture even a portion of that, there's an interesting thing that starts to happen. The most interesting thing I can tell you is this, is that this body of yours, and now we're talking about the innate, wants you healed. Of course it does. The innate, we have talked about before, is the smart body, starts to understand what your consciousness is striving for. And in that, and we've told you this before, there starts to be help. And it's not coming from the outside. It's not even coming from angels and guides. It's coming from within. So that innate of your body, that smart body, that all it wants to do is create health for you, the innate, will start to then create avenues where you can pull in more of your inner child, including remembrances. It's an odd thing, is it not, to think that you have got a part of your own body system that is waiting and wanting to help you with things. And you thought you were in charge of everything. You're in charge of opening the doors. There are literally portals within your chemistry that are waiting to hear from the boss. And your innate is one of them. And that innate of yours, that smart body of yours, sees what you're doing and says, let's help. I see she's doing it. I see he's doing it. Let's make it even better, because the innate knows the more you can relax into the inner child and start to then drop those fears that you have because you're remembering it, the healthier you're going to be. I'm going to say something. The more you can capture the inner child that is there, the healthier you're going to be, and the avenue will be clearer for the harder things. There are still some that say, I don't know, Kryon, you don't know my upbringing. I can't remember good things. I know you're out there, dear ones, because I know who's listening. So let me give you something that is far more esoteric than even you wanted to hear. You wouldn't be watching this program unless you were a little bit esoteric, or perhaps even more, members. So listen to this. Non-members, yeah, I'll tell you, perhaps you got to work a little for what I'm about to say, but I'll tell you the membership that is listening now is more aware of these kinds of things. Do you believe that you've lived before? And most of you will say, yes, I do. I want you to go to that lifetime which is in you, which you remember, which is in your innate and in your consciousness. Past lives are still there. I want you to go to that childhood that was perfect and beautiful. Even if you have to look at a friend and say, I want to be that one, perhaps that was yours. I want you to go there, and I want you to experience what that would have been like because you lived it in a past life. Bring that forward. Mine it like a miner digs for gold. Go to your Akash and mine it and paste it upon yourself. Is that too strange? Whatever is needed for you to see the innocence, beauty, joy, and laughter of a child that you were at some lifetime, if not this one, will be valued by your innate, and you can pull it right to you. What does it get you? What does that really do, Kryon? I'll tell you. When you were a child, in any lifetime, there were times when you were so peaceful. That's what you strive for. You want to go back to the giggling, do you not? Inside, gentlemen, don't worry, you're not going to giggle. Inside, so you're joyful with everything you look at, just like a child. What is that? What is that? Do I want this? And people will say, Kryon, you don't know our culture. I can't bring out my inner child while I watch the news. How much did you watch the news as a child? And the answer is, well, I don't recall I did. Well, then turn it off and be a child. And don't watch it. If it's going to depress you, why do you watch it? Are you going to help yourself by watching it? And the answer is not really. You just want to be informed. Well, maybe for a while, you can inform yourself with your own joy and your own childlike attitudes of things that are peaceful and happy and create laughter. That is the inner child. And that is what we are telling you that you can strive for and achieve, which is a catalyst for all of the healing that you want, no matter what kind it is. Your peacefulness is something that lowers all of the anxieties and creates a playing field where the healing can begin. And it cannot begin easily with stress and fear in your life. Capture that inner child, dear ones, and see if I'm right. And so it is. So it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.